we continue the discussion. So Buddha gives simile to illustrate this very clearly. Just as a skilled turner or his apprentice, when making a long turn, understands, I make a long turn. When making a short turn, he understands, I make a short turn. So too breathing in long, bhikkhu understands, I breathe in long, and so forth as before. Now, even in this a turner or his apprentice, when he turned the wheel, he does not say, I turn this long, or I turn this short. He doesn't do that. Almost automatically he turns it long. Otherwise he will be very tired by if he were to say, I turn this, I turn this, I turn this. You see? So, similarly, the meditator, especially on the one hand, he will be very tired by using I. On the other hand, he will be emphasizing the notion of I, which eventually he has to get rid of, and getting rid of would be very difficult or impossible if from the very beginning the person was emphasizing it, stretching it again and again. And secondly, the mind will be lodged in the word. Without word he would not be able to do this. Therefore, word gets in his practice. Words get in his practice. So his breathing is going here, mind is here, in between I, or the word. So the middle agent, he should be removed. And this is why Buddha said direct way, direct in every sense. And this is, eventually Buddha says, yatha bhuta jnana dassana, to get knowledge and vision exactly as it is. Gain and knowledge and vision of things exactly as they are. If there is a middle agent will screen, filter the things. You cannot sometimes filter, you cannot penetrate the middle agent. You will be blocked by the middle agent. For this reason, I advise whoever practice mindfulness practice, whatever object they use, pay attention to the object directly as it is happening, anupassana. Then on this page, last paragraph, I think in your book, when you read Pali, you will see iti ajhattam va kaya kayanupassi viharati, bahiddha va kaya kayanupassi viharati, ajhat bahiddha va kaya kayanupassi viharati. Ajhat bahiddha va kaya kayanupassi viharati. Iti ajhattam va kaya kayanupassi viharati, bahiddha va kaya kayanupassi viharati, ajhat bahiddha va kaya kayanupassi viharati. Now, what is ajhat bahid? Body. Ajnata body is his own breathing, breath body. Bahidha kaya means the air existing around us. That's entire atmosphere. As we know, the world is divided into atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, barosphere, like the four spheres. So we are in atmosphere, air. All around us is air. That is air of body of air, so to say, body of air. That we are in it. And that is external Bahidha kaya. And this is exactly what the Buddha said in Maha Satipatthana Sutta. Whatever happens to external air happens to internal air that we breathe in and out. What happens to internal air happens to external air as well. So, become mindful of internal air, contemplate the body in the body internally, or he does contemplate with the body in the body externally. Internal body, breath body, we can become aware of long inhaling, long exhaling, short inhaling, short exhaling. External air also is sometimes blow air. You can, if you pay attention to air blowing and pay attention to it, you feel the air blowing for a certain period, then stop. And then you don't feel air moving. It is exactly like in our internal air. And then, as we breathe in, breathe in, we bring external air into it, into the body. As we breathe out, this breath goes into the external air and mix it with external air and move it around, move it with the external air, mixing with it. And again we breathe in. Though we don't see, we feel that the lungs pulls air from outside and then push internal air into the external air. There is another section, another sentence, Samudaya dhammanupassiva kāsmiṃ vihārati, Vaya dhammanupassiva kāsmiṃ vihārati, Samudaya vaya dhammanupassiva kāsmiṃ vihārati. And this is another part that has translated into any language, English or Sinhalese. Now, contemplating the body, arising. That means this is where impermanent is visible or experiential. Rising and then falling. Two aspects of impermanence. Rising, we become aware of rising, we become aware of falling. We don't say rising and falling in words, fully aware of rising and fully aware of falling. Then how can we be aware of rising and falling? Isn't it redundant? Or does it make any sense once you say you become mindful of rising, you become mindful of falling, and then what is rising and falling? I have heard somebody explaining rising and falling, comparing to a sharpening a knife. Those days we use long knife, razor with a long blade. There is a leather. You use it to sharpen. I think you might have seen in barber shop those days. I don't know whether they still have it. Sharp like this, and then sharpen like this,
Yes.
and then sharpen like this.
Yes.
That is the simile he used to explain this. How can you do that with the breath? Rising, falling, rising and falling, rising and falling. It doesn't make any sense. We must understand the Buddha's teaching. When one sees one aspect of Dhamma, it must be related to other aspect also. Or it must be related to the same thing explained somewhere else. This is the nature of sankhara. Sankharas, Buddha has explained Sanguttara Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, Teenimani Bhikkhave Sankata Lakkanani. Khatamani Teeni, Uppado Panyayati, Vayo Panyayati, Titassa Anyatattang Panyayati. Bhikkhus, there are three characteristics of existing conditioned things. Teenimani Sankata Lakkanani. Three characters of existing conditioned things. What are the three? Rising is discernible, panyayati. Rising is seen. Vayo panyayati, falling is seen. And tita is anyatatan. Tita means in between. Rising and falling. What is in between? It's what you call existence. When we breathe in, as it is rising until it reaches the lungs, in between rising and reaching lungs, there is a space of the breath. There is a length, period, time. During that time period, the breath reaching the lungs is reaching the lungs while moving itself, changing itself. That's called mutation. While changing it, this is called aniccham, dukkham, viparinama dhamma. Viparinama means what you call altering, mutating, changing. So the breath moving in while changing itself, move out while changing itself. So between rising and falling, whatever the time period is, even during that period, the breath is changing. Therefore, these are the three stages of sankhara: rising moment, falling moment, and existing moment. Rising moment is not static, falling moment is not static, in between moment is not also static. Rising moment is changing, falling moment is changing, and in between existing moment also changing. So then, that is why Buddha said, Satova asasati. Satova asasati. Only with mindfulness you breathe in, only with mindfulness you breathe out, only then can you see these subtle changes. In inhaling, while inhaling we notice changing, while exhaling we notice changing, and therefore that is what is called samudaya dhamma, rising and falling, rising and falling. Rising and falling takes place very quickly in every inhaling breath, every exhaling breath. Rising moment is the beginning moment, falling moment is the ending moment. In between rising and falling, beginning moment and ending moment, there is a middle period. That is the current moment. So, parimakam satis upasavetva. That is, being and paying mindful attention in the present moment. The present is an extremely short moment. Present is not something very big period of time. Very quick moment. We can catch even that moment when the mind is totally focused on happening with mindfulness. So the mindfulness can notice the slightest change. How quick things change. Mindfulness notice. In order to get this quick shift change of all conditioned things, we have to be totally mindful. That is what it means. Samudaya Dhamma. Both rising and falling. This is the traditional way of explaining things. But this, when you pay attention, you can get confused and begin to question, how can I do both rising and falling, rising and vanishing? We can do rising and vanishing only when we pay mindful attention, sharp attention, clear attention, undivided attention, total attention. Then the time passes very quickly without falling asleep, without having a lot of stiffness and pain, because the mindful is totally on the awareness of what is happening. It is very extremely interesting experience. That is why once you sit in a steady position, steady position also very important. That's why Buddha emphasized the ujung kayang panidhaya parimukang sating nupat. Ujung kayang panidhaya. The posture is important because when you sit in the cross-legged position, keeping the body straight, starting focusing mind on the experience in the present moment. Then of course first few minutes it will be not easy, mind will be wandering because so many things are in our mind, collected things through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. And mind keeps going to those things, and therefore first few minutes it will be difficult. And then as soon as I understand all these are happening in the mind, in this mind here, not outside, mind is not traveling anywhere, it's not going anywhere. Mind cannot go anywhere. If mind goes anywhere, he will be kaput, dead, finished. Mind stays here. Eating, chewing the cud. Chewing the cud. When the cattle eat, they store in their tummy somewhere, and then sit down and then bring it back to the mouth and then chew.
Again, yeah.
Chew. Similarly, all these stored things in our mind, we bring up and then keep chewing on them all the time during meditation. But when we pay mindful attention to this, we understand, I don't have to chew this cud. Let go. Let me focus mind on what is happening. For what I sat here not to chew the cud. I sat here to pay attention to what is happening to my body and mind. So, at that time, seeing this very tiny, minutest, subtlest changes we can notice. That is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Then that is the first part of the mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness of the body, as you see in that chart that Jayant made, there are 6 sections. So we go to the second section. Iriyapata. The Pata, as I mentioned earlier, Pata means path. Pabba means section. Iriya means postures. The pathway of postures. Again, why the Buddha mentioned this section next to the first section? The first section is sitting. Sitting in legs crossed, keeping the body straight and focusing mind on the breathing. Sitting under a tree, empty house and so forth. But then next section is postures. Why postures? As brought as next section is because when you sit, how long you can sit? How long you can sit?
Shorter than shorter, but
not too long.
It's becoming shorter and shorter.
Yeah. So back, so thigh, so legs, so everything, whole body so tired, even sometimes sleepy, and drowsy, and so forth. Then you get up. Get up. So the mindfulness practice is not only sitting practice. We are 100% okay to get up during sitting. If you feel bored, tired, so get up and do walking meditation. Standing meditation, sitting meditation, lying down meditation. So how many? 4 postures. We can meditate while sitting, standing, walking, lying down. So, walking, a bhikkhu when walking, a bhikkhu understands, I am walking. He understands I am walking. He doesn't repeat this in words. No. How he understands I am walking? Paying attention to it. Paying attention to walking. How can we pay attention to walking? Suppose we stand like this, these are our feet. When we want to walk, lift one foot, move forward and put it down. It is almost automatic. As soon as you put this foot down, the other foot is ready to be lifted. And walk and put this down, then lift it. Then put this down, then lift it. As soon as this foot touches the floor, next foot is up. So this goes on and on and on and on. So there are 3 stages for each foot. Lifting, moving, putting down. Lifting, moving, putting down. Lifting, moving. And 2 actions take place almost simultaneously. That is, putting down, then as soon as the foot touches the floor, other foot is coming. And the other two things going on is the breath and the movement. We are doing this while breathing. When you do walking meditation outside on the road, you can see it even better. Because you are not talking with anybody, you are walking by yourself, then I don't know how many breaths we take for one foot, one stride. That depends on the person's speed, the person's strength and so forth. So I don't want to give a number. But you can see that while breathing in, sometimes you take 2 steps in one breath or 3 steps in one breath, depending on how fast you are. But each step is the same. As soon as one foot touches the ground, at that moment, if you run, it is even much faster. As you touch, it will touch, click, touch, click. So we pay attention to this, and at the same time, we become totally mindful of the feeling that arises while we are walking. We cannot walk without feeling. If you are walking with mindfulness, we are not only feeling, we can mentally, not with eyes, we can perceive it. We can perceive the walk. And we also can notice our intention of walking, because we control our the mind and the breathing and the walking together when we walk mindfully. That is walking. Gacchanto gacchami iti pajanati. So the moving forward, lifting one foot at a time, one knows this is what is called walking. Not I walk. I cannot walk. But the body walk with the help of mind. And therefore we don't use the word I am walking, I am walking, I am walking, and so on. But we notice the phenomenon or the action, movement that we call walking. And then standing. When the body is, we put in a certain position and stand, then we feel the touch of our feet with the floor, and the weight of the body on the legs and the steadiness, and then we feel the heat of our soul. When we stand for a certain period, we feel the heat, that is heat element. We feel it. And then we feel steadiness. And then we feel if we stand too long, then we feel the body is not going to stay in that position too long, because body gets tired when we are standing. So we notice that. That is because in the walking we can experience impermanence very clearly, but when we stand, it is not easy to notice impermanence. But when we are standing, we can notice the feeling of the body, and we can breathe, and then we go back to our breathing as before. Long inhaling, long exhaling, short inhaling, short exhaling, and so forth. And as we sometimes become totally relaxed, perhaps body collapse, because body cannot hold together when the entire thing is, tranquil and relaxed. Then you go to go and sit down again. That is why nisinnoha nisinnohamita pajanati. Then you stand, then you sit, because when you walk, you get tired and then you stand. stay standing. Then when you are standing, you get tired of standing. Then you walk. When we sit, we pay total attention to our sitting, because we have to fold our legs, we have to bring our body down, we have to adjust the posture to maintain the posture. We have to make certain movements. If we do this movement mindfully, we can see the feeling of impermanence of the change, changing of legs, bending and adjusting posture and so forth. There are many activities going on while we are sitting, when we are trying to sit. Once we sit, we become aware of the steadiness, the straightened, upright position. Now sitting here is the same as sitting at the very beginning. Ujung kayang panidhaya parimukang satinu pattabetva. Keeping the body straight in upright position, putting the legs crossed each other, and so forth. All this we do very carefully, mindfully, in order to understand how minute impermanence we experience. We experience minutest changes in all these postures. The more difficult is sayanova, while sleeping. Or lying down. Lying down doesn't mean sleep. We lie down either on right side, left side, or on the back. When you want to sleep, we have to sleep in lion posture. Lion posture is the posture that putting right hand under your head and turning to right, touching the big toes each other, straightening your legs and lie down. That is to sleep. Is with mindfulness, thinking, paying attention to breath, long inhaling, long exhaling, short inhaling, short exhaling, relaxing the body, breath body, relaxing the breath body. Then you fall asleep. It doesn't take too long. And then when you fall asleep, you become aware that you are falling asleep. If you really want to sleep, you let it happen. If you don't want to sleep, you stay with mindfulness. So we are not leaving mindfulness away, leaving it out, but we keep the mindfulness with us in all these postures. Then sampajanya padda, clear comprehension. Clear comprehension is explained in commentaries as 4 types of clear comprehension. Clear comprehension of the purpose, clear comprehension of suitability, clear comprehension of the domain, and clear comprehension of the non-delusion. These are the 4 types of clear comprehension. The commentaries have taken this information from various places in sutras. For instance, clear comprehension of the purpose is given at the beginning of this discourse. We have already mentioned it. So, there is a list of activities Buddha has mentioned in the clear comprehension. Once we go through the list and then we can elaborate how we apply clear comprehension to these activities. That is very, very interesting. And this is another area that we find different translation, different meaning, different explanations. So let us try to see what this means. Acts with clear comprehension. Bhikkhu acts with clear comprehension. How? Acts with clear comprehension when going forward and returning. He acts with clear comprehension when looking ahead and looking away. He acts with clear comprehension when bending and stretching his limbs. He acts with clear comprehension when wearing his robes and carrying his outer robe and bowl. He acts with clear comprehension when eating, drinking, consuming food and tasting. He acts with clear comprehension when defecating, urinating. He acts with clear comprehension when walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking, and keeping silent. These are the very few activities listed here. Besides this, we perform many more activities: splitting logs, putting firewood into the wood stove, and sweeping the floor, mopping the floor, washing dishes, and so forth and so on. Many. Buddha has given only few activities to be mindful. Now this is a very deeply involved mindfulness practice, and with clear comprehension. We take a few of them. Okay. Going forward and returning. Going forward, this walking meditation, going forward, and we become aware of it. And when we have a clear comprehension of purpose, why do I walk? I walk in my walking. I keep my mind on this walking in the way we explain. Why I want to pay attention to all these activities in my walking in this way? Because I want to develop mindfulness of the body. I want to develop this mindfulness for this purpose. What is the purpose? Fivefold purpose. To clean the mind, to overcome sorrow and lamentation, to overcome grief and despair, to tread the right path, and to attain Nibbana, enlightenment. This is the fivefold purpose. How can I achieve it when I walk? How can I gain any of these purposes when I walk? I pay attention to every tiny little movement, every tiny little change, which gives us that every action, everything is nothing but actions. Not a person, not a being, not something solid. Everything is action, activities. We can see that. Everything is activity. When we see everything as activities, then activities are not something static. They are in motion, always moving. Rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling is the nature of activities. then the notion of permanency completely vanishes from the mind. When permanency vanishes, what remains is the awareness of impermanence. Why impermanence is so important? Because of the notion of impermanence, we try to cling to something. Now I can say there's nothing to cling to, anything. Nachakinchu loke upadhyati. Nachakinchu loke upadhyati. I should not, there's nothing in the world to hold on to. Nachakinchu loke upadhyati, loke means in this mind and body, there's nothing to hold on to. Because everything is in a state of flux, moving, changing. Everything is activities, functions. So I keep this purpose in mind. This is the purpose. Why I want to say this, get this purpose? In order to get rid of my clinging, craving, desire, which is the cause of suffering. Which is the not understanding, not seeing this. I have notion of permanency. I develop my greed. I develop my hatred. I develop my delusion. All this develop normally, naturally, because of not seeing this reality. Everything is changing, impermanent. This is how we keep the purpose in mind. Right purpose. Fivefold purpose. Then clear comprehension of the domain. What is our domain? Yeah, this mind and body. These five aggregates. This is our domain, nothing else. In mindfulness practice, we focus our mind only on our aggregates, which in short condense into mind and body. This is a domain. No matter how many other things are in the world, we are not interested in them as long as our meditation practice is concerned. Focus only on this. When we talk about mindfulness, what are we mindful of? Not washing dishes. If mindfulness, I heard people say, when you wash dishes, be mindful. Mindful of washing dishes. It doesn't matter how much we are mindful of washing dishes, we will never get an iota of insight. If the mindfulness, washing dishes is a mindfulness practice, then all these dishwashers in restaurants are practicing mindfulness. That is not. Our way of practicing mindfulness while washing dishes is focusing our own mind and body. While washing dishes, we can experience changes everywhere. If anger arises while washing dishes, we become mindful of it. If a resentment and a dislike arises while washing dishes, we become mindful of it. You can clean the dishes almost automatically. You see that you just clean it and apply soap and for. But that cleaning should focus to our mind. We are trying to clean the mind while washing dishes. Dishes is external thing. So, as I mentioned, there are so many activities. So clear comprehension of the domain is our mind and body. Clear comprehension of suitability. We must, in many places, many people talk about suitable or practicing the place. Is this place suitable for meditation? Is that place suitable for meditation? We are not talking about not talking about the places. Like public well. Sometimes people say, that area is not good for meditation. Who doesn't know that? Shopping mall is not suitable for meditation. Who doesn't know that? That is not what the Buddha meant. Buddha meant was, is this practice suitable for that, attaining that goal? That is suitability. We must ask, is this practice suitable for attaining that goal? What is the goal? What is the purpose? Is this practice suitable for attaining those fivefold purpose? Purifying the mind, overcoming sorrow, lamentation, overcoming grief and despair, treading right path, attaining Nibbana. For this fivefold purpose, this practice is suitable or not? We must ask. So we always go back to this mind and body and say, I have to deal with this in order to attain that goal. So this mind and body practice is suitable for attaining that goal. That is suitability. Then non-delusion. Non-delusion is we should not bring I into the practice because I is a delusion. I is not something that exists. Although we use in our day-to-day activities, we have to use the word I. Just like today. What is today? Tuesday. Tuesday. Where is Tuesday? Although we use Tuesday, can we see Tuesday, touch Tuesday, see Tuesday? Longitude and latitude, Capricorn, equator, where are they? They are very important conventional terms. Similarly, we have to use I, and Buddha never goes beyond convention. We have to use convention to communicate. We cannot say these five aggregates moves towards that five aggregates, or that five aggregate could five aggregate bring me a cup of tea. No, you cannot say. I have to say, Jayanta, could you bring a cup of tea? So Jayanta is not something existing as a something. We use the given name. So I is something like that. We use perfectly all right. At the same time we keep in the mind, this is a conventional usage. Use it. Like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, January, February, 2016 and so forth. They don't exist anywhere in the world. So, non-delusion means we should not be deluded, thinking that this is something permanently existing, but it is using. So we get rid of all the illusion. Okay, performing activities. As Buddha has given here very few activities, we have many more. When we have clear comprehension, we perform all these activities with clear understanding. I think this is enough for today. As I said, this time I want to spend 45 minutes, I spend more than